Hello, hello, welcome Soul Healing Revolution to this Sunday's Temple Talk live with Edmundo, my husband, and myself, Cara Mendez. Today we are bringing you a very big conversation. It's a really, really deep topic. We could probably host this particular topic for its own whole 4 to 6 week series, because today we are talking about inner divine union. And if you're jumping on, please say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Even if you're catching this live, on the replay, if you're catching this on the replay, we'd love to hear from you as well. We also want to let you know that you are free to invite your partners to tune in to these Temple Talks and share these videos with your partners, with your friends, with your sisters, brothers, what have you. We deeply appreciate that. We just want to spread this work far and wide.
Yeah.
Do you want to lead us in sharing what your definition of inner divine union is, or what it looks like for you?
Sure. Hi. So first I want to start by sharing that I'm still feeling a little raw. I had a sweat lodge that I facilitated a couple of days ago, and it really kicked my ass. I've been facilitating this for a few, I don't know how many I've done so far, but
2 years.
2 years, and I do the women's and I do the men's. Well, this last Friday I did a men's, and usually I always show up as a facilitator, but this time I allowed myself to be the student and just to witness what was happening, and I just felt really comfortable because there was a lot of guys there that had already done them, especially my good friend Eric. He's on I don't know how many, and like a lot. And so I just felt like, he could take the lead, and there was another guy there too that felt very strong, that could hold space, and I just allowed myself to just maybe be the student this time, allow others to hold me. And I went through some shit, some big stuff, and right before we jumped on this video, Cara was helping me make sense of it, because I still had a lot of questions, and I was very vulnerable, and then, like I said, I dared to let other men hold me, which it's been really hard for me to do, and then just to have that fall apart, I always feel like I'm the one holding my family and the feminine and these containers, and I've been craving that to allow others to hold me, for me to have my own death and rebirth in the cell lodge. And right before we jumped on this video, Cara was sharing some stuff with me that helped me really make sense of the experience. And that is that one of the hardest parts, things that we'll ever do, is to love our darkness. And for me, love my masculine darkness, and the one that wants to, conquer, the one that wants to be powerful, the ones that's hungry for more, and that's the same part that will kill to defend my family and protect Cara and all that. It all comes together, but it was very challenging for me to love that part of me. In the past, that part has also caused harm, to myself and others. So to bring that part back into wholeness, it was very challenging. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity, but that left me feeling like a little raw, a little vulnerable, a little exposed, So yeah, talking about, I just wanted to share that, I don't know, just felt called to share that.
It's the perfect lead in.
Yeah.
It's the perfect lead in to this conversation.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that, that I felt to share that because talk about, bringing all those parts into wholeness, the masculine part, because in the last few years I've been really working on bringing that feminine piece back into wholeness within me. For many years I rejected my own inner feminine, right? And what happened is that I became very hard just very goal oriented. Just there's no room for emotions, no room for compassion, no room for softness, right? It was just like let's get this shit done. What are the solutions? I don't have time for emotions right now. Let's just get the shit done. And it didn't make me the best partner. It didn't make me the best father, because sometimes there's some softness that's required. Sometimes it's my feminine that need to lead, right? Even like just like and I guess you're asking me what the divine union means, but it that's what it means. It means that you get to use both, that both live within you, and they both get acknowledged, the feminine and the masculine, right? Because for many years, what I did was just work from my masculine. I only created space for my masculine to show up, and now my feminine, and it left me very unbalanced. It left me not, even as I rejected my own feminine, I rejected Cara's feminine. I rejected just even the mother nature. I rejected my own mother. I rejected anything that had to that express in a feminine way. I rejected it because I was only working from my masculine, and it created a lot of balances with me. And to be honest, it created a lot of disconnect, a lot of separation with the feminine. And so I guess.
Can I have a question? Mm-hmm. Would you share like why you feel like you rejected the mother and the feminine aspect of yourself?
I think I did that because I honestly I felt like it was for me to be in my feminine, or for me to acknowledge was weakness. That men see other men that are in their feminine as weak. As a society is programming, we live in a very masculine world, right? Of like, we got bills to pay, and so as a man, you being like taking the provider role very serious, that you become like rigid in that, you become obsessed with that, you become like you feel like your whole identity revolves around that, and so anything that has to do with like coming home and holding your children and and having this vulnerable conversations with my wife, that I felt that somehow that made me weak. It wasn't conducive to me being a provider, for me being a protector, so I think that's why I rejected it, rejected the feminine, because I saw it as a weakness. And also there was a co-creation of trauma that was created with the feminine. There were some stories that I had about the feminine that were created at a very young age, and I felt like the feminine took from me, that that the feminine wasn't safe, so I rejected it, out here, but also within, and that was my path for many years being very disconnected from the feminine and rejecting the feminine within me and outside of me. And that at one point that no longer served me. I knew that for my marriage to survive, for me to be the best father I could be, even I have another business too, also to be the best boss I can be, that I need to get in the right relationship with my feminine, and it was something that I was carrying, this burden, this heaviness, this thing that just I felt like a prisoner of, and I just wanted to be free from it. So I would say that in the last 10 years, I've really have put a lot of work into healing that part of myself and bringing that, acknowledging and bringing that inner feminine back into wholeness with myself.
We actually have a question from Erin Ryan, and she said, Eddie, how as a man were you able to shift into the feminine?
It's been a long process. I can't say there was just one thing, but I'll tell you what was a huge catalyst for this. It was becoming a father to a little girl. You know, I always I struggle with, right, like just being in the right relationship with the feminine and bringing that back part into me. But as I became the father of a little girl that was like 9 years ago, it really hit me. It really hit me that I needed to connect to the feminine. I needed to bring that feminine back into my life, and I needed to learn how to revere and respect and not take from the feminine, because I was going to be a father to a little girl, and I wanted to be the best father I could possibly be, you know. And interesting enough, she as I've become, you know, I feel like I have shown up so much in my life, you know, and definitely a lot more wholeness. She has really held me accountable for that. She's
fierce.
She's literally has asked me that I need you to be more compassionate when I'm sick. I need for you to be more nurturing when I'm not feeling well. That I need to hold me when I am having a hard time.
Or I need you to apologize to me when you hurt me.
Yes. And I've created that space, you know. I have created the space of like where I'm not so much in my masculine, where she doesn't feel safe, right? It's because of my feminine that has allowed that space to be created for her to be able to feel safe, you know, and her asking and her feeling like that she can, right? So, but yeah, that was a huge catalyst to have become a father to the feminine.
I have another piece to add to this. Do you mind?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. In also responding to Aaron's question is, honestly, like Eddie and I played a lot of this out in our own relationship. Your deeper acceptance of the feminine, like yes, Mia's birth, and you know, was a huge activation and catalyst for this unfolding, and also it was like me also coming into embracing my feminine has taught you so much also about your own feminine, because we're such huge mirrors for each other. In any kind of partnership you're in, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, it doesn't matter if it's like same sex or hetero, it doesn't matter, because we are all mirrors for each other, right? And I think like in you witnessing me come into my feminine also, and of course you played a huge role in that, creating the space for that, but there was like this huge like you accepting, as I accepted my feminine, then you, I don't want to say had no choice, but there was like a huge piece of you also then having to accept that aspect of your feminine.
Yeah, and one of the things too, as you're speaking, I'm like, my masculine had to trust itself with holding the feminine, because that's ultimately what happened within our relationship. You know, as I became more aware of, you know, how much I rejected my feminine, what happened internally is that, well, shit, now my masculine needs to trust itself with holding the feminine, right? Not taking from the feminine, revering the feminine, you know, showing up for the feminine, being the container for the big emotions that the feminine is, right? And I think like that's really what your ask of me was. You know, you were asking that of me, like, hey, I need to drive more into my feminine. I want to work from my feminine, but what that's going to require is for you to become a safe container for my feminine.
For me.
And then how do I address that then? You know, I had to go in. I had to say, okay, cool. Like I want you to be in your feminine. I want to be that safe container for your feminine. And before that can happen, I have to learn how to hold my inner feminine. I need to learn how to acknowledge my inner feminine. I need to learn how to allow my masculine to hold my inner feminine and make room for my inner feminine.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was my work for many, many, many years. You know, creating the space for my, and how does that look, right? Like I said before, it was just like, you know, all up here, right? It was like just like strategy, it was structure, it was always had a fucking plan for everything, right? Think. And at one point I had to just put all that down and take more space for me to just be, to slow down, you know, to spend even more time with Cara, you know, going on our dates, you know, to even like
Sunday soul chats. I mean, really, these temple talks were kind of birthed forth because we started doing this thing on Sundays where we would just like connect and kind of digest and process whatever we were going through. We would have these really beautiful, intimate connections.
And I don't know how many you guys know Cara, but Cara has a lot of big emotions. And that has been a lot of medicine for me, because what's happened is that I had to get really comfortable with standing there in front of Cara with her big emotions and not make her wrong, and not tell her like to be like, hey, you know, you're too much for me right now, and I don't want to deal with your emotions. It's like, okay, I know that your emotions right now are just making my inner masculine uncomfortable, because my inner masculine doesn't like to feel emotions. So this is the perfect opportunity for me to expand and learn how to hold you and how to be that container for your emotions. And that translated into me holding my own inner emotions, right? Being comfortable with my emotions. You know, like I speak about the Temazcal on Friday. I'm not a guy that cries a lot, right? And maybe to a fault, but I dared to cry on Friday in front of other men. You know, there was another 5 men in there, and I just felt so safe and held that I just, the tears came up, you know, and I didn't hold them back. I allowed myself to go there, right? And that was me acknowledging my feminine, my big emotions, you know, and as this men held me energetically, you know, I allowed all parts of myself to come to the front, you know, my wounded masculine, my dark masculine, but also my feminine that wants to still be acknowledged, you know, that wants to even have that more space to dance and show emotion. And so that's been the process, you know, just to not make the feminine wrong, create that space for her to show up.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, like, you cry, but you're not like, you don't like break down. You're not like a totally stoic. He's not like totally stoic and never shows his emotions. He definitely does, but he doesn't, or in the past, hadn't really allowed himself to have that full dismantle, that breaking apart, that full just like I can't hold it together anymore. And that was like what was like so beautiful for you for Friday, was that you just got to completely come apart. Yeah,
definitely. You know, but I've been wanting that. I've been craving that. You
all
know?
year.
And,
all
year.
Year.
You can say all my life. You know,
yeah.
To have that space for me to just put it down. You know, put it down, for my masculine to just breathe and say, hey, it's all good. You know, you don't always have to be the one holding everything, and then to have that beautiful dance. You know, it would have to be another whole chat for me to share what happened in the Soil Lodge. But it was a dance of my masculine and feminine all together in that moment. You know, dancing, holding each other. You know, sharing their medicine with each other, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that, because I know I'm going to be better because of that.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, like, it is, and everyone's commending you and saying that that's so amazing, and I think that they're really deeply appreciative of you sharing this experience of yourself as a man and the representation of the masculine for a lot of us. And it's true, it's beautiful, you know. And also, like, it started before you got into the Temazcal, right? Like, we've been working on this for such a long time.
Well,
it's not been, it wasn't just this, like, I stepped in and had this, like, you know, hero's moment of just being vulnerable and being seen. It's like, even in the leading into the Temazcal, like, your neck was hurting, you've had a tooth infection, you haven't been feeling well.
Well, and to be honest, like, it started with the Temazcal previous to that, which was a woman's Temazcal, and that really fucked me up too, you know.
Yeah. The women's Temazcals always fuck us up.
Yeah. But that one, that's like honestly like, well, like a Sarah, and like Aaron, you know, like again, it hasn't been one thing, right? It's been many of things, you know, and I'm sharing this Temazcal experience because it was just one more thing, you know, to another layer to peel, right?
This has been years, and years in the making, right?
And the woman's Temazcal the week prior to this one was also another layer, right? This thing that I've been carrying for I don't know how long, that feeling unworthy of receiving the feminine love. You know, like it's like, okay, I can be there for the feminine now. I can love the feminine. I can accept the feminine. I can hold the feminine. I can be of service to the feminine, right?
Yeah.
I'll sit there, you know, as the feminine falls apart and
without feeling burdened,
to chaos, and be solid, you know, and loving the feminine. But now to receive the feminine's love has been a motherfucker, you know. Like it's such a it's been like, it feels so vulnerable, you know. It's like, it feels like I have to really like open up my heart, and it's like calcified, you know. It doesn't want to open, right? So last Temazcal, and actually many of Temazcals, you know,
the two before that was also a really big similar experience.
As all these women come to me, you know, for healing, you know, and they trust me, you know, and they put their safety in my hands, you know, all this thing, it's become a lot, you know, at times, to receive that, you know. It's like, again, like, I'm extremely grateful for this woman coming into my space, and because it's brought me so much medicine. It has brought me even like that opportunity to work through that, right? And like I said, last woman's Temazcal was no different. Like I just feel unworthy, you know, and that I didn't realize what was happening till we were I'm actually in front of this woman doing the pre-ceremony, and then it hit me again. I'm like, oh my God, here is this thing again, that, you know, of feeling unworthy of receiving this woman, you know, and receiving their essence and their presence, and, you know, and their medicine, you know, and I'm over here sitting in front of like 10 women, and I'm being seen, you know, and I'm being accepted, you know, and I'm being, you know, I don't know, loved, you know, and it's so freaking uncomfortable. You know, and again, just had to expand into it, you know, and it ended up being a beautiful experience, you know, for me and for everybody that attended, you know, but that has been layers upon layers upon layers to get to, you know, where I'm at now. You know?
Yes. There was something else that I was going to say. You know, I think the other piece of like this conversation that I really want to bring in here is like that connects into that we were talking to right before we came on today, because, you know, we kind of just picked these topics and we just talked with like what is alive for us, and right before we press live and go live, it was really talking about the concept of divine union and what does it mean. And it's like, it's really about us, you know, of course, yes, it's like the dance between the masculine and feminine, but it's also within each of the masculine and feminine is the light and the dark of each of the masculine and the feminine. And we all have, you know, light feminine, light masculine, dark feminine, dark masculine within us, right? We all have that, regardless of sex, regardless of gender. And that was the piece, right? Like that for you, that you were just experiencing, and I'm happy to share my story of this process as well. That we've both been walking into and through is, sorry, big energy moving through. Is for you, it was you were feeling like, I am deserving of all of these things, and it's like the money, the power, the feminine, the women, right? Like this is the deepest desires of the masculine, but it's the dark masculine. It's the aspect of the masculine that we have deemed toxic and bad and wrong, but it's also, like you were saying earlier, it's like the part of the masculine within all of us, right? And we're just using each other as these examples. That is the provider, the provisionary, the protector, the safety, right? The holder, of space and emotions, and but we demonify it. We demonify it, especially as women. We demonify it, and in our whole culture and society, this aspect, especially in feminism, is deeply, deeply demonified. And so men, you know, as we're hosting these consistent like men's ceremonies, is these men, they come in and they want to be safe space for women, and so they completely shut off their dark masculine energy, and
or even just their masculine, even if it's not even dark,
well, they show up in their light feminine. But you're right, some of them do completely reject their masculine as well, of course. Yes, that does happen. And because they don't want to make us uncomfortable, they want to be the nice guy, you know, and in the process they violate themselves, and really truly we don't fucking feel safe in their presence. Whenever a man shows up to me and who's rejecting his masculine, I have this like very visceral response to those kind of men who are denying themselves in that way. Like, I want you to fucking show up in your masculine when you stand in my presence.
Well, and why is that?
Because otherwise it asks me to be in the masculine for you, and I don't want to fucking play that role for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can't be in your feminine.
Yeah, I can't be. You can't be in your feminine. I mean, I guess it's you can, but then you just have.
Well, the ask is like if a guy
the subconscious ask.
If the guy shows up in his feminine, then you don't feel safe. You know that he can hold you. So then you become guarded and you become a little more masculine, and you almost want to dominate.
I will find myself wanting to like dominate or hold the man who is standing before me in the feminine. And that's, you know, that is not my inherent nature, because I am a woman, a physical representation of the feminine. Not that I don't have both, I do, and that I can't have harmonious balance between the two. I can, but it is our innate nature to want to be in the feminine in the presence of a male.
And yeah, and I feel like you're like, you know, I've said to you many times, I feel like you're your most potent when you work from your feminine.
Yes.
You know, and I think like whenever you don't feel safe, you know, or you know, you don't feel like you can be your feminine, then you, like you said, you become like more masculine.
Yes.
And, you know,
a little more guarded,
a
little more armored up. Those protectors kind of start to come out. That warrior piece of me wants to really emerge. Yes. Aaron says same. I am the most potent when I work for my feminine. Yes. Yeah, 100%. Like, and this is, you know, we're kind of getting away from the divine union, but it is also still part of it. Like, I find that, you know, we work very differently, right? Like, he obviously leads with his masculine, I lead with my feminine. And we've even had to, like, in the workspaces that we create for ourselves, like, I love to be in pleasure and comfort, laying in my bed and working from my bed, and really just like magnetizing in through my womb space, right? And through my turn on and my
seductiveness.
And yeah, very seductive. And he's like, okay, I tried to work from the bed. I can't. I need to have my shoes on. I need to be sitting upright. I need to be at a desk in my office, like feeling like the man. Yeah. And I'm like, when I go and I feel too in my masculine when I sit at my desk in my office, it's like so very corporate America-y, you know, for me. And so we've had to distinguish that we work better from distinctively different spaces even, right? And I guess that's just like part of like honoring our divine union process within. Yeah.
Well, and going back to what you said, you know, like you know, whenever, well, so Cara and I facilitate the women's Temazcals together, and in a lot of temple sessions we also facilitate them together, and Cara sometimes is by herself. But when it comes to the men, I started facilitating by myself. But I don't know, a few Temazcals ago, I had this like what you call it, like hit, or like I don't know, like just a knowing that Cara also need to be part of this men's temazcal. There was a lot of medicine that she could share with this men, you know. And so one temazcal, I'm over there and I just get this hit, you know. I'm like, I'm looking at the men, and it was because they were all talking about the feminine, right? And like, oh, the feminine takes from me. Oh, the feminine, you know, has violated me. Oh, the feminine won't let me love it. You know, all those things, right? And I'm like, you know, I feel like you guys could really use, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking, right? I'm like, I think you guys can really benefit from being in the presence of the feminine and receiving the feminine, right? So I came inside the house, hey, can you guys give me a second? I came inside the house and I said, hey, Cara, would you want to just come and maybe just share something with a man? I'm not even sure what, but maybe, I don't know, just something. I feel like they need the feminine to be in the presence of the feminine right now for their healing. We're about to go into the sweat lodge, and I feel like that your activation is what they need. So then Cara came out, and Cara came out with, like, you know, very open-hearted, you know, like very loving, you know, if you can say even like very like motherly, you know, and man, like it really did a number on this man, you know. As we got in there, we were ready to die because we were ready to die for what we believe, to be of service, to be protectors, to be everything, right? Like it just took us to a whole different place, because as men, what we crave is the love of the feminine. You know, we want to be accepted by the feminine. We want to be loved by the feminine. We want to be seen by the feminine. We want to be received by the feminine, right? And in that moment where Cara gave this man this, you know, just by her presence and her words and her energy, then we were okay to die in that moment. We were like, okay, we're complete. You know, that was the feel of it, you know?
Yeah.
So now it has become that. It has become like every time now, I ask Cara a certain point of the pre-ceremony to come and just share some words. But what I noticed was that, you know, I'm talking to the guys and they're like really in their masculine. They're like, yeah, you know, we're vibing off each other, you know. And then Cara came in and everybody just went into like a very different space, right? And I'm like, what's going on here? You know, I'm sitting there like, these guys were just like, yeah, you know, we're going to do this shit. We're going to blah, 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 and blah, blah. And then suddenly they're just like very soft and kind of almost like
meek and timid.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they just rejected their masculine to not be threatened to Cara, to be left by Cara, right? To be accepted by Cara. And they think that by them being in their feminine is what is going to get him that, right? Which is the opposite, right? It's like for them to be in their masculine is what Cara was saying, is what makes them be a safe man, you know, to feel protected, to be taken care of, to be all that, right? And for her to allow to be in her feminine. So I understand that there's a lot of work there to be done with the men, and for them also to walk this path of receiving their own inner feminine, right? And trusting their inner masculine to be able to hold their inner feminine. And then I think because of that, I know because of that, it's going to show up differently in the world. You know, next time Cara comes in there, they can still stay in the feminine because they can trust themselves. They're masculine.
I mean, they can still stay in their masculine.
Yeah, they can trust themselves to stay in their masculine
in the presence of the feminine, because
they know that their masculine can hold the feminine, right? And they don't have to reject it. And once they come into right relationship with their masculine and trust their masculine and know that their masculine is in right relationship, then they can stay strong in their masculine. Yeah. To hold the feminine.
Yeah, and I would just want to speak a little bit to like how I show up in those spaces. I really show up, and you know, you really reflect this to me. I just channel whatever is being asked of me in their, you know, to support them in their highest evolution and growth and expansion. But I do always, like, I make the cacao and I like turn on my priestess playlist and I put it on, like, you know, where it's like just plays the songs randomly, so like whatever is meant to come channeled through comes through. And they, you know, yesterday or Friday's medicine was the music and the song and the energy and the frequency was love and surrender and nourishment. And I'm just like singing along at the top of my lungs, like dancing. I put a dress on and I vibe, right? And I'm just like pouring all of that frequency like into the cacao that I'm making for them, and then I deliver it to them, and I meet with each of them one-to-one as I pass out the cacao, and I just connect with them, but I come out and I look them directly into their eyes, and I breathe with them, and I really connect into them, and I speak to them, but it's like very soft and, you know, you would say seductive, whispering things that their souls need to hear prior to stepping into the womb of the mother. And sometimes it's like everyone's bursting into tears, and sometimes they're just, you know, I feel like this last Friday, because it was like a masculine power themed, it was like rising into their masculine power. It was a little bit more sensual. It was a little bit more erotic, because that is our fucking power, but it came from the purest love, right? And that is all of our power. And that is what divine union is, right? If we're speaking of divine union, it's also, it's light and the dark, and it's the masculine and feminine, but it's also the heart and the womb, right? And for men, they don't have like a physical womb, but they do have a hara, right? Like it's their energetic womb space. And that was like really what I get to bring in to that experience. And it's like me really coming in my light and my dark, right? Like coming in with that like fucking love, but also like being seductive and just wide open heart, right? And you were sharing with me, because I am always like, ooh, like how is it experienced, right? Because I can only feel what it feels like to be me in my body and my being. And Eddie shares with me, he was like, you know, men are not used to women coming in open with their full energetic presence, right?
Their love.
With their love, with their sexual energy, with any of that, all of it, right? And I'm like, well, my intention is just in me being all of me. Like I step into those ceremonies and I let them see me, all of me, to give them permission to see and access and love all of them, right? And so that is really like I step in as the embodiment of divine union, right? My light and my dark. And we had a little conversation at this particular one, and I had all of this messaging was coming through for me on Friday, and I was like, oh, I have so much to tell them. But it was really like your power is your love. And that's really what divine union is also. It's about how much more of me can I love? Can I love all of me?
Well, that was one question that I had for you. It was like, first of all, like what has been your process to learn how to, you know, be more in your own divine union, and also like, because and within ourselves, it's been a co-creation, right? As I become more accepting of my feminine, then you're able to, you know, show up more in your feminine, and vice versa too, you know. And I wanted to ask you, one, what has been your internal process to, you know, become more into your, you know, divine union, and how that's shown up within us.
Okay. I'm going to start with the first question, and then you'll have to kind of redirect me or ask me again. So I feel like for myself, my inner divine union journey really started because I rejected my feminine completely, similarly to you. You know, when we met, we were just like this all the time, like so like fighting each other, like we would yell at each other, we would just get into these like really intense fights, and we were always competing for who was gonna fucking dominate this motherfucker.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We were both very in our masculine, and so our masculines were at war, right?
Yes.
Fighting for that position, you know.
Which we also kind of liked to an extent, because chaos was comfortable, pain was comfortable, was what we knew. That's that level of like suffering, and it was also like almost like a little self-punishment, right? Like we knew that aspect very, very deeply. But then it was and it was also deeply trauma-based, deeply from deep wounds, as most of us are operating from, right? And for me, that really came to a head when I had just given birth to Mario, our 5th child, and I was in a state of deep adrenal fatigue, and I was not well, and I could barely function. And I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. And so I literally had to put everything down, and that was when my feminine reclamation journey began. And in that process, I had to, primarily it was how to learn how to slow down and how to just be. And I started yoga and meditation and journaling and really like being with my emotions and feelings and seeing my patterns. I spent years mastering that, years. And well, I thought I was mastering it. I mean, I got some really, really deep insights. I did some very huge identity shifting during that time, but that was literally just the teeniest, tiniest tip of the iceberg. And then, you know, my work began to, and I started teaching about self-care. Not all of you know that has been my journey. I was trying to teach like self-care to homeschooling moms because I'm also a homeschooler. And then it evolved into like working with entrepreneurs. And then it took me into the spiritual path. So I never knew that I was going to end up being here and doing this work. But ultimately, in the process of creating that space for my feminine to be big and to show up and to be seen and to be heard, again, like you said before, my masculine had to also be able to hold the bigness of my feminine, because my feminine is so big, like so fucking big, like suck the fucking air out of the room big.
And one thing that you also mentioned too, part of that journey is to get clear on what you're not available for, you know? Okay, and I think that's how your journey started of like, okay, like this the way I'm doing life right now. Yeah. And it's got me in adrenal fatigue. Yeah. It's just not fucking working.
I'm not available for the
it's not working anymore, and I need to find a different way. And that was like the activation.
Yeah, that really was the activation, doing it a different way. And I think that that's like really such an important like phrase that we use so much now. And like that even came up for you as I was doing some body work on you prior to the Temescal. On Friday, it can be a different this time.
It can be different,
It can be different this time, right? And like we're all, I think, relearning how to walk the left-handed path, and which is the feminine path, right? And not that you can't be in your masculine walking the left-handed path, but it's just not all of us only being in our masculines or in those protectors. And that journey really led me into healing my inner masculine as well. And I'm still walking that journey and path, and I can't say that it's perfect because it's not, and that it's fully mastered because it's not. But I felt a huge shift for this particular men's Temescal, and this is why we keep referring to this, because it really showed me where I am on that path and how much love I can and do actually have and can hold for the masculine now that I couldn't have in the past. That in the past I would have been like disgust. Like I really felt like in the past, you know, and I wrote a post about this yesterday, like 5 years ago, I felt like men hurt me. They were fucking stupid and dumb and beneath me and less than me. And
yeah, because even though you were like operating from your masculine, you were very receptive to that.
Yeah, like, it was wounded masculine too.
Yeah, it's like you were operating from such a masculine place, and you were like really in your masculine, but it wasn't like a healthy masculine. It was like a masculine that takes from me, that I violate myself for it. Yes. You know, that can't hold me. That know, fuck, it takes me to a place of like adrenal fatigue, you know, and that was your relationship with the masculine, you know. You couldn't trust the masculine.
Well, and it was like because there were so many protectors in place that I didn't have this like healthy access to my feminine at all. That was completely repressed, and that's exhausting. It's exhausting to repress any aspects of ourself. Right? Yeah. I had also completely, as I ventured into motherhood, I completely cut off my sexual energy. Again, exhausting. Again, as the feminine, that is my magnetism. That is how my ease exists, is to literally just magnetize and call into me what I desire. And I had completely cut that off, feeling such deep shame that the mother and the sexual energy cannot exist together, right? Which is why now I have a program called the Erotic Mother. And so that has really been like my huge journey. But like this particular Temescal showed me like how much acceptance I now have for the masculine. And that only happened because of the work that I have done internally with myself, with myself. And again, there's more to do, but there always is. Yeah. But it was such a beautiful experience and moment. And I literally was like giddy with excitement. Like I could not wait to be of service to the men at this men's ceremony, to share with them that their power comes from their love, their ability to love more and more of themselves, which is divine union. Like, and this is not just exclusive to the men.
Sure.
Ow. But it's for all of us. Truly, it is, because what we see within men is what exists within us. What you despise in others is what exists within you. And I think that this is like the most beautiful takeaway for anyone who's watching this to see, is like where you hold resentment and disdain, distrust, anger, rage, hate towards the other, especially the other sex or other gender, is where you hold it within yourself. And it is, we are all, yes, just reflections. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's the other part of the question I had for you was how that doing that internal work, your internal divine union, how that almost like created a space for me to show up even more for you.
Yes. Oh yes. This was such a huge, majorly transformative process for our relationship. And for my own receiving of the masculine, which is probably like still my greatest work at this moment. But it allowed me, first of all, like how you're talking about being open to receiving the love of the feminine. Mm-hmm. You know that this piece for me happened for the first time ever in February of 2020.
Like this is for years and years and years. I just wanted to love Cara. Like I'm just like, please let me love you. Let me love you. All I want to do is just love you and be of service to you. And she couldn't receive that.
Nope.
She couldn't. It wasn't safe for her to receive that.
I didn't know.
It wasn't until, like I said, a couple years where she finally let me in, and she finally was like, "Okay, okay, I'll receive your love," And again, it was because of the work you did, the internal work you did.
Yeah, it really was. That was it was actually plant medicine that allowed me to first receive his love, to even like. I couldn't see it. It's like we have these veils, right? That the veils are woven with our belief systems, our stories. And I just could not receive his love. And it was in that journey, in that plant medicine ceremony, that one of the facilitators was like, do you see how much he loves you? You need to see, Cara. Like, you need to see. Like, she got right in my face and was really like, and I didn't understand. And then I had one of those falling apart moments in that ceremony where I just burst into tears, and it was like, this little girl part of me came out and finally was just like, fine. Like, I surrender to you. Like, I receive you. And that was a huge turning point for me. It was the first time I ever felt safe in my body. and safe to receive, you know, your love, the love of the masculine. And I would say that, you know, since that experience, it's just been a deepening and deepening and deepening into that, because that also happened within me, and he was just there to mirror that back to me, right?
Yeah, and I feel like this is like the path, right? Like, we wanted to be loved and we want to be accepted, and of course, you know, we all know this is an inside job. You know, this starts from within, and this is the power of that. You know, that as we do this work, and you know, I heal my relationship with my inner feminine, and you know, this the yin and the yang within me. You know, and Cara, this is how it starts manifesting out here, right? Because it is until we can come into right relationships that we allow it, we can receive it. You know, like I said, for Cara and I, it was like for years, it's like, just let me love you, like, let me be there. But she didn't trust her own masculine, right? So she couldn't trust me, right? Her feminine didn't feel safe within her body, so she didn't feel safe within you know, in our divine union. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until like she got into right relationship with that she finally was able to be like, okay, I can now receive you, right? And then now, and that was just her work was just our relationship shifting and becoming what it is now. It was a byproduct of that work that we both did, you know.
Yes.
And but it all happened within, and we've seen this many of times, right? Like we're talking from a place of, you know, marriage or divine union, our union, but the way we've seen it is where even single women come and work with us, right? And they see, you know, how their masculine and feminine are, you know, working together, you know, how they're at war, conflict, you know, how they don't trust each other, how they don't receive each other. And because of the work we do with them, then they go and find the man of their dreams, you know, they have their own reunion, you know, or some women have left their partner because of that, you know, because they came into the right relationship with their own inner masculine and feminine, and they understood that the person in front of them couldn't give them that, you know, but they deserve to have it, you know, and so that is a power of doing this inner work. Yeah, how it translates into the reality.
Yeah, and I think that too, it's like it's such a gift, right? When we walk this path, and this is I was just reading a book right before and on the divine union and the sacred union piece, and it's like this is the soul's highest evolutionary path to walk. Like, this is it. Like, there's like no other greater achievement, if you will, right, than reaching this state. And there's a lot of liberation that happens here, and a lot of power that is reclaimed in this process. It's a huge initiation, and it's not a simple one and done experience. You can't just walk into a sweat lodge and have divine union. You can't just go do a retreat you will achieve layers of it. Absolutely, yes. But it is like this ongoing process and journey. In its wholeness, right? Like, divine union is reaching a state of wholeness where all parts of you have been accepted and loved back into one. Mm-hmm. And that's really big. There is a vast bigness to that. And when in speaking in terms of the masculine and feminine, I just keep seeing this image in my mind, and so I need to speak on it, is as I've accepted my feminine more and more and brought her into right relationship and more in aspects of her into wholeness, right? The erotic, the seductress, the dark mother, the holy whore, all of these aspects of my feminine, of course, the light mother, like, I feel like that those parts of us are easy to accept, right? But it's the dark aspects of us that are the hardest. My monster, my dragon. It's scary. It's scary to do this. It's not easy. This is not the easiest path to walk, because that has meant I've had to ask him to expand with me, right? I've had to ask myself to expand in there's deep fears, like you said, like like I have often been fearful of, what if I break us? What if I break you? What if I break us? In my expansion and in this accepting of all of these parts, it's accepting like our deepest, darkest kinks and desires, and they are so societally not accepted, right? What does that mean about me, right? Who will reject me if I do this? If I love this part of me, who will not love me? And it's like being okay with that, you know, being like, I am choosing to not abandon myself, and I am choosing to not reject myself, even if others do, even if someone else abandons me, even if I'm too much for someone else, I am still going to choose to stay and be here with myself. Right. And that's that, like, again, masculine and feminine work. And like,
you mentioned not being easy path, and it's not. You know, it's not. It's a lot of uncomfortable conversations. A lot of, you know, having to look yourself in the mirror and get, like, you know, very honest with yourself. You know, on like how much power you have and how you're creating this reality, right? And how, you know, maybe your masculine and feminine are in conflict. You know, those are hard truths, right? They're challenging truths.
Confronting,
very confronting. But for us, it's been a long journey, right? We didn't have like mentors, or we didn't have programs. We weren't even aware, to be honest, at times that there was help, that we could do it differently, right? So this has been a long process, and yeah, you're right. It's not the easiest process, but it doesn't have to take us long, you know. And I think this is the reason why we are doing what we do now, right? Where we're having the temazcal, this temple sessions, and this retreats is to help people expedite that process, or to share all this that we've information and all this process initiation, wisdom that we've collected throughout the years, to be able to share it. And even in this video, right, we shared, like, this is only like an hour or whatever that we've been sharing this, but it's been years of us walking this path,
yes,
of like learning and failing and not knowing, and walking in the dark, you know, and fumbling and falling and all that, right? It's been our journey. It doesn't have to be your journey. It doesn't have to be a journey. So,
yeah,
I wanted to talk about the retreat.
Yeah, I feel like this is such the perfect like lead in, right? Because we offer experiences, the initiation retreat. This is an initiation into your own inner divine union, right? That is, all of our work is of that, but this particular weekend is one of the most potent forms of this that we do. It's all of our work that we do combined into one extremely intense and potent experience. Because if you are also called to walk the initiatory path of divine union, you know, in the Magdalene lineage, they call it the Grail lineage, right? It's very much connected to womb shamans and priestesses and the dragon mothers, and that is what this initiation is. It is to bring one of the biggest, or many aspects of yourself back into wholeness, into inner divine union, so that you can access those deep, profound gifts of yours that are hiding in the shadows. That is where our gifts come from. They come from the darkness. And it's when we learn to love and accept and bring that darkness back into wholeness and bring it to the light, that is when our gifts are given permission to be fully expressed, right? Because that's the gift of divine union. It is full expression, right? It is fucking liberation. And that is what we are. We are liberators, and we activate these divine gifts of yours right out of the shadow, back into the light, into wholeness, so that you can love and accept those parts of you, and you can bring your sacred medicine, your divine gifts to the world again. That's what you came here for, right? That's what your souls came here for. And that is what this initiation retreat is for, and is to do, is to really set you onto that path. And maybe you're already walking that path to a certain degree. This will take you to a new level, to greater depths and greater heights of your gifts. So that is coming up on November 9th through 11th. That experience has a beautiful opening ceremony, followed by, we do a wild woman hike, we do a temazcal together, and then we do, I think we're going to have, looks like we're going to have 2 temple sessions on the Saturday. So there's numerous homemade meals. One, we go out and have lunch together after the hike. So there's a lot of beautiful sisterhood work, bonding, nourishment, a lot of just masculine and feminine healing, accessing the greater depths of your gifts, a lot of shadow work, a lot of safety, right? Like, so we were saying, you know, Edmundo's role as the masculine is to really like hold that safety in that, of that container. And I am there to just give your feminine like so much permission to be expressed, right? And he gives your dark masculine that permission to also emerge and to be integrated. And it is a profound experience. All parts of you are welcome here. That is our core philosophy, because obviously, right, divine union and wholeness, all parts must be accepted. It does not matter how ugly or dark or of the light they are, they're all welcome. And you know, a lot of people say when they come to our house, that they feel like they are coming home. And it's because they are. It's because to come here and to work with us on our sacred land, and our, you know, we have the sweat lodge, which is the sacred ancient technology of rebirthing. And we have the underground dragon temple, which is also, it's a place where we go to die, to be reborn. And these are experiences that you will not find anywhere else.
We have a lot of like, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
How do I even describe this to my partner or my family?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
it's hard to put words into.
Yes, it's
the experience.
It's a deeply mystical experience. It will change you forever. Your life will be forever changed in the absolute best way. So if you feel called, if you are feeling the call to this experience, please we are happy to hop on a connection call with you. There's never any pressure with us. We're here to see if it's a right fit and a right time for you. But we would absolutely be honored and love to have you. We have just a couple more spots available. It's rapidly approaching. We've only have 2.5 weeks left until this experience takes place, but it will definitely be one for the books. So we would love to have you.
Yeah, and real quick, I know Ryan asked, Aaron asked earlier about the process of this. It is like my work, or our work is to be following that. If you, like Cara was saying, if you're thinking about it and you feel like it's right for you, follow that. Like, that's been our path. Just follow those little nudges, to be like, okay, this is where I feel like I need to go do this, and just trusting that is what you need to do, right? So if this calls to you, just follow that. Like I said, even if you want to explore, if it is the right fit for you, if there's something here for you, like I said, you can reach us and we can have a discovery call,
Yes. Aaron says, where are you located? Thank you for asking. Yes, we are located in Pacific, Missouri, so right in the Midwest, and we are in the St. Louis area, so that's like the larger. We're in a rural area, just on the outskirts of the Metro St. Louis area. So if you're flying in, you can fly in to, we have an international airport. We actually do have people who are coming here from from Canada this round. We've got a couple of local women. We've had women come and work with us from all over the country. We have someone coming from the Netherlands. Not at this particular retreat, but she's, you're in Illinois. Oh, you're so close. You're so close. You're so close.
Yeah, we have a private retreat from a woman that's coming from
the Netherlands.
That's pretty exciting.
We're really excited about that.
But we've had people from Canada, from all over the country.
Yeah, Michigan, Ohio, just lots of Illinois folks come here. Yeah, Oklahoma, Michigan. Yes. Yeah. So, and there's plenty of like cute Airbnbs here. I'm gonna say this and hope I don't regret it, but like, you can camp on our fucking land if you want to. We have one person who's camping, another person who's inquiring about camping here, because this land here is deeply, deeply sacred. It's I'm saying this because it's like a funny thing. I've been in resistance around it. But people keep asking, and I'm like, fine, just come and camp on the ground.
Well, I had that idea a while ago, and then Kara's like, no. But then, like, I kind of ambushed Kara last time, and
with other women around.
Yeah, there was a bunch of women there. I was like, would you guys want to camp? Oh my God, yeah, we would love it. I was like, told you.
Yeah. Angelique says, are they always Thursday through Saturday? They are, and there's a reason why we do that. We do that so that we can all have a day, Sunday, to integrate. For us personally, because we also have a family and a business and other businesses, and so we love to have that.
And for the clients.
And it is for the clients, but it's so that everyone can have that Sunday to integrate before the work week begins again. And it's just really, really important because
we used to do them like on Sunday, and it just felt like it was just like you're like basking in this energy, and you're still processing, whatever, and then boom, now you're back on Monday, and it didn't feel right.
And we start, and the opening ceremony isn't until like the evening, so it's like Thursday evening only. So it's like if you're traveling in, you can come in on Thursday early in the day, and then we don't, we have the opening ceremony at Thursday
5?
evening. I think we do start them at 5.
5 on Thursdays.
I think they're at 5. Yeah. You'll have to look at the itinerary, and I'll post the link. I think I always say that, and I don't know if I always do. I think I forget, but if I forget, you can reach out to me. I might be jumping way ahead, but do you know dates for future initiations if I can't make this one? Angelique, I think we do have the next date for the next one. I can message you that privately. I'll need to double check my count. I don't know it off the top of my head to be able to tell you. But yes.
I think, yeah. Is it spring?
It is in the spring.
It's in the spring, I believe.
But I just can't remember when we decided. And Erin says she has the same question. Yes. And they are 1666 as of right now. That could stay the same for the spring. But if you registered now for the spring one, the price would be still that. I don't know. We haven't discussed that, and who that can shift. But so right now the price for this particular one is $16.66, and you can and I do have Afterpay as a payment option. So if you are approved through them, I have nothing to do with that. But if you are approved through them, they do offer, I believe, up to a 4-pay option. So that is a really cool new added feature that just came about through my payment processor. Kajabi is who I host my platform through, and Stripe, and so that just became an option. So if that's something that you wanted to do, I'm happy to look at that with you, explore that with you.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to have this temple chats every Sundays, and I think next week I said we're going to do a 4-part talking about, divine union.
Oh, we are?
Is that what you said? I thought that's what you said. Isn't that what you said?
Well, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah? I thought that's what you said.
Well, yes, because it is such a big, loaded topic that I felt like we could definitely have 4 conversations around it. But no, I agree. I do think that I want to continue the divine union piece and continue deepening into it. It's been calling to us for quite some time. Yeah. No, thank you all for watching and staying and asking questions and engaging. I so deeply appreciate you. Yep. So if there's anyone who's a last minuter and wants to jump in, we would be so deeply honored to have you.
Yeah, like I said, share, invite people. I know this is a woman's space, but I know that we're having some women share this with their partners also. So
yeah,
we're cool with it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just so deeply grateful for each and every one of you who watches this. And we do post these on our YouTube channel also, so you can share them that way if you prefer, and if for anyone who's not in the actual group. And you can just go to, it's on YouTube, it's under actually the Primordial Mother, at Primordial Mother, and that's how you can find my channel. All right. Love you guys. Thanks so much. This was such a fun chat. I really liked it. I hope you did too. Okay. Talk later. Bye-bye. You guys have a great Sunday as well.